There are so many solar panels out there in the marketplace today, but which panel is actually the best? And while this is all up for debate, in today's video, we're gonna review 10 of the top solar panels in the industry. But first, we need to have a conversation. This list is not a representation of the 10 best solar panels, but rather a list showing you a range of high quality panels that offer some variety of options for you as a consumer. Some panels here are a couple years old, but they're tried and true with great market presence. Others are using the latest and greatest tech. We'll discuss a few value options, some premium options, and a couple of panels that are in a league of their own. Now, honestly, does the type of solar panel you pick really matter? The answer is sometimes. But what you'll find is when you're researching solar, there are a lot of panels out there today that fall right there within a pretty similar class of performance, and it's pretty overwhelming. And for most of you out there with good solar access, there's a lot to pick from that will look the same, get the job done, and offer a competitive warranty. These other metrics could be marginal gains, preferences, or individual needs based on your situation and your budget. However, while I do agree the type of solar panel you select is still important, the inverter manufacturer, your battery manufacturer, and your solar installer are all far more important things to focus your investment on. Anyway, for those of you who are new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Zach. Here we talk about solar, batteries, and other cool stuff like that. Now I'm gonna help make things even easier for you and truly make this the ultimate guide. I went ahead and created a spreadsheet that you can find linked at the top of the description below, where all of the information on the panels from this video can be found for future reference. Additionally, since we're only talking about 10 panels today, I'll go ahead and add other panels that I see used in the industry. Some of these panels could have easily made the list as well. This way, if you're getting quotes with different panels, you can quickly compare all of their key specs side by side. You can also find each manufacturer's panel spec sheet within that document. So if your favorite panel isn't on today's list or you disagree with today's list, go ahead and leave a comment below with any panel recommendations that you think I should add to this spreadsheet. The only favor I ask for in return for this is, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, drop me a like on the video if you do end up getting any value. All of this is greatly appreciated and helps the channel grow. I might create a spreadsheet similar to this for batteries and inverter systems as well. If that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. All right, let's get started with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is Tesla solar panel, the T430S. Now, you can only get this panel when you install your system directly with Tesla, and this panel made the list today because of two key reasons. One, it is a panel I get asked about all the time. This is a very common question that I get from homeowners is, hey, does Tesla make solar panels? So I wanted to include this panel to compare it to some of its competitors. And then the second reason is Tesla will always hold decent market share due to its branding, its online presence, and existing customer base. Let's dive into the metrics. Statistically, it's a very average panel. Outside of power output, which ranges from 420 to 430 watts, everything else is just middle of the road. I mean, even its power output doesn't really matter since it's such a physically large panel. Now, all of these wattage ratings that we see today will be at the STC rating, and STC stands for Standard Test Conditions. And in the normal day-to-day, these conditions are rarely met, which is why we will also discuss this next metric for each panel, and this will be the panel's percent of wattage expected under normal operating conditions. This is commonly referred to as the NMOT, or normal module operating temperature. Most panels we see today will boast an NMOT wattage that's about 75% of the STC rating. All of the panels are fairly similar, but I needed to include this to clarify the differences. Oftentimes we see consumers who get a 10 kilowatt system, for example, and wonder why it never actually hits 10 kilowatts. And this is due to the fact that it's rated for 10 kilowatts under perfectly ideal conditions, which will almost never be met, let alone sustained, and that's totally okay. Now, Tesla's panel efficiency here is also a little dated at that sub 20% range. And when we say efficiency, that is the percentage of sunlight that hits the panel that is actually converted into usable electricity. Most residential panels today will sit around that 21 to 22%, with anything over 22% being really impressive. Warranties are also solid here with an industry standard 25 years on both the product and the performance, with 10 years from Tesla on the labor. Keep in mind, for both of these last metrics that we're going to discuss, temperature coefficient and degradation, the lower the number, the better. The temp coefficient measures the panel's expected losses in conditions above 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit, basically how well the panel can handle hotter weather. The Tesla panel sits fairly well here at minus 0.33% per degree Celsius. Don't get me wrong, this is a good panel, but there are some better suitors out there, which we will talk about here shortly. Tesla's key differentiator is their proprietary ZEP mounting hardware. Their mounting system creates, in my opinion, some of the sleekest looking installations out out there, which is simply a perk to some, but it does come at the expense of being limited to only using Tesla as your installer and only using the Tesla solar panel. No third-party installers currently use Tesla panels with that ZEP mounting equipment. Historically, Tesla had used a Qcells module and white labeled it. However, I don't see that being the case since none of its metrics line up with that Qcells panel. I could be wrong though. But if that is the case, I'm not sure who's manufacturing this panel, where it's manufactured, if it's another panel white labeled, or what's going on. But like with most things Tesla, they keep some of that information pretty close to the chest. Final verdict here, this is a more than serviceable panel that offers industry-leading aesthetics due to that railless mounting hardware from ZEP and their panel skirt system. But I feel that comes with some trade-offs on the performance side. Some of you might be shocked to even see Tesla on this video and may disagree with the list, but keep in mind, while today's list does take into consideration each panel's performance metrics and cell technology, it also factors in their brand reputation, market share, and general price point. Moving into number 9, we're going to talk about a panel from JA Solar and their Deep Blue 3.0 lineup. Now, most of you are probably thinking, who in the world is JA Solar? And while they are not a household name, JA Solar is based out of China, and they are one of the world's largest and most established solar manufacturers. And due to this reputation and their manufacturing power, Wood Mackenzie, who offers global data and analytics solutions for the energy industry, had ranked JA Solar as their #1 module manufacturer for 2023. Additionally, JA Solar has opened a manufacturing plant out here in Phoenix, Arizona, which has certainly become a positive trend with a lot of the big manufacturers. Now, more on this Deep Blue 3.0 panel. Nothing is going to jump off the page here at you. It's another black on black panel, and the specs are relatively tame. They blend in with a lot of the competition in this class of panel. Their offered wattage range falls between 380 and 405. Efficiency does clear that 20% mark, and we see 25-year warranties for both the product and the performance with an 84.8% guarantee at the end of that 25th year. It's important to mention as well, for all solar panels here today, the stated degradation percentage measures the manufacturer's maximum rate of decline annually after year 1. To reiterate, this is not the expected degradation, rather the maximum degradation covered under warranty. Additional note as well, solar panel warranties are really for more of peace of mind, and they're designed to instill confidence more than anything. Panel failures and fast degradation are extremely uncommon. I can't actually recall a single instance where a panel needed to be swapped out due to a performance failure in my entire career in this industry. Anyway, the verdict here on JA Solar offering is, if you just wanted a solid panel with lower pricing from a company with a really stable track record, this is going to be a good option for you. If you're looking for something that's more on the premium side of the spectrum, then I'd keep looking. Rolling in number 8 with a panel from Aptos, who is a US-based solar manufacturer. We're focusing on the DNA 108 bifacial module, and this bifacial feature gives it a small performance boost in certain situations where the rear of the panel does have light exposure. The wattage range for this panel is between 400 and 410 watts. Aptos does actually have a similar monofacial and bifacial panel option in this lineup that boasts a higher wattage closer to that mid 400 watt range. And you can find that specific panel on the link spreadsheet below. However, this panel just offers more cells within its frame, so it's a larger physical footprint and it has slightly diminished performance metrics. Fun fact here as well, you've probably noticed that each panel has a wattage range, usually in 5 to 10 watt increments. The reason is due to something called module binning or sorting, and what happens is when these modules or panels are manufactured, they may have small differences from one unit to the next. So rather throwing these panels out that might be slightly less or more powerful, they actually will be sorted based on their true output when they're tested. Anyway, this panel's efficiency, temp coefficient, and degradation rate are all extremely respectable, especially considering the fact that it's paired with a 30-year performance warranty. This is just one of 2 panels on today's list that offers at least a 30-year warranty on both the product and the performance side. My final verdict here, outside of that 30-year warranty on the product and performance, this Aptos panel has nothing super flashy about it, but you are getting great value from this panel when everything is considered, including its cost point. And I know prices are regularly requested on these type of videos, but since these are panels that are included in a turnkey professional installation, there are a lot of variables that do impact the total price on a solar installation like this, and it's not one size fits all. Most of these panels today will stack up against each other within a cost gap of 15 to 30 cents per watt, depending which of the two panels you are comparing. Number 7 here today is the specific panel I have on my rooftop, and it also happens to be from the industry leader in market share residentially in the US today, and that's from Qcells. Now, Qcells will have 2 panels featured on today's list, one panel being their premium option with the latest tech, and then this one, which is their standard option. It's the Qcells QPeak Duo G10 Plus that comes with a wattage range from 395 watts to 415 watts. And right now, more residential installs are happening with this panel than any other. But what has caused Qcells to capture about 30% of the market share in the residential space? In short, it's American manufacturing. Qcells currently operates the largest module factory of its kind here in the US out of Dalton, Georgia. Additionally, Qcells also just secured nearly $1.5 billion in loan guarantees from the Department of Energy to help them grow and expand their US solar supply chain. Historically, one of the more common questions that I would get asked from homeowners is, hey, where are your solar panels manufactured? And for installers, having a clear, reputable option that is manufactured here in the US is very important. But I think it's cool that manufacturers like Qcells are making such a strong push for bringing more jobs here to the US for their manufacturing processes. Regardless of all this, there's a lot to like about this panel, but I wouldn't consider any of their metrics to be elite. You're getting industry standard 25-year warranties on both the product and the performance with a 0.5% annual degradation rate with a baseline of 86% in year 25. My final verdict on this panel from Qcells, it's one of my favorites, and we see installers consistently offer it as a top recommendation for most homes as a starting point. And not necessarily because it's statistically the best, but because of its overall offering from specs, brand reputation, and cost per watt. Coming in at number 6 is the Jinko Solar Eagle G6R. Similar to JA Solar, Jinko Solar is another solar manufacturer based in China that is a global leader and a brand that is highly trusted amongst the financial institutions. Jinko has also shown commitment to US manufacturing with a solar plant in Jacksonville, Florida that produces more than 1 million solar panels per year. Historically, Jinko had a reputation of being a budget panel, and it really looks like they're quickly shaking that reputation. And I have to admit, prior to me doing research for this video, I wasn't aware that their Eagle G6R panel had such quality performance metrics. The specific panel from their Eagle lineup offers a wattage range of 420 to 440 watts and a power density of up to 20.9 watts per square foot. This output per square foot is amongst the leaders on today's list, and when you pair that with its efficiency metrics of 22.53%, it starts to really make its case for being an elite panel. Warranties included are 25-year on the product, which is arguably the less important of the two warranties, and then a 30-year performance warranty with a modest degradation rate of 0.4% per year. And while I personally don't have much experience selling the Jinko product, I really do like this panel on paper. The specs stood out to me right away, and it seems to come in at a very competitive price point per watt as well. Quick tip, if you're currently getting solar quotes or researching solar for your home and you're not quite sure which panel is best for you, just talk with the installers about which options they recommend based on their current menu. Most installers are going to stick with a few different manufacturers, so the options we discussed today may not be readily available by the installer you do end up choosing. And if you need any assistance with your journey in going solar, I have a few different options whether you're in my service area or not. I service Arizona, Nevada, and Texas, but for anyone else, I do offer consultative work to help make your journey a little bit easier. You can find all that information in the description below. Final verdict on the Jinko Solar Eagle G6R. I'm impressed. This is a premium panel that I think is currently flying under the radar within the market. This one's an easy thumbs up for me. Moving into number 5 here, we have the Canadian Solar Top Haiku 6 all black panel. Man, a lot of these solar panels have really long names. This panel will actually be the panel with the highest available wattage overall today at 455 watts. It does come in at a slightly larger footprint, but still offers over 21 watts per square foot, which is going to put it near the top in terms of power density. Now, Canadian Solar was founded in 2001, and they are another giant in the space from their manufacturing output and overall quality. And I will say they have a lot of different panel options for both the residential and the commercial side to pick from. Their manufacturing plants span across the globe, primarily in Asia, but in 2023, they did open a solar manufacturing plant in Texas. All of their other metrics from a product warranty, performance warranty, temperature coefficient, and degradation are all in that premium range, especially considering it has a 30-year warranty with just 1% degradation in year 1 and then 0.4% degradation each year after. This puts it at that same baseline as the Jinko option of 87.4% at the end of 30 years. years. In addition to the high wattage ranges that we see from this panel, the overall efficiency stood out as well, 22.8%, which will be tied for number one today, and it's going to be tied to a panel that is quite a bit more expensive. Final verdict here, I've installed a bit of Canadian panels over the years. They've always had high quality residential options, and this one is no different. I think this particular module can really swing with some of the elite options that we're going to see in our final four. Every metric here on paper is either at or above what the industry standard has become for our panel options today. At number 4 on today's list is the Silfab Elite. Now, Silfab is a North American solar manufacturer with locations both in Washington State and South Carolina for their panel manufacturing. Same as the other brands mentioned previously, they have a highly respected reputation and their own industry-leading panel technology. Now, this panel is Silfab's flagship model with wattage options that sit at 410 and 420 watts with a respectable power density at just about 20 watts per square foot. It offers another fantastic 30-year performance warranty with a near 90% performance rating at the end of year 30. I mean, a 10% degradation max over 3 decades is really impressive. Now, an important thing to note is that the 25-year product warranty is only offered if the panel is registered and submitted for warranty. Otherwise, it's a 12-year product warranty. Its rated temperature coefficient is just under minus 0.28%, which is also the second lowest that we're going to see today. Although we could argue the temperature coefficients are literally splitting hairs, but it's still a metric I know a lot of consumers like to see on these breakdowns. Final verdict here, while Silfab isn't a panel that I have quoted a lot of, I know they have a long respected brand here in the American market. Their specs from the Elite panel are right there with any panel in that premium category on every single benchmark. And if you really do value a North American based company, American manufacturing, plus their 30-year performance warranty, this could be a great fit for you. Today's third panel on the list comes from Maxeon. Now, some of you may or may not be familiar with Maxeon, but I'm sure you've heard of the name SunPower. Before SunPower's downfall, they were regularly considered to have the most premium panels in the residential market with both their specs and their price point. And guess who manufactured SunPower's panels? Maxeon. So these two entities had split off and separated in 2020, and then as some of you may have seen, SunPower filed for bankruptcy in 2024. Maxeon continues to sit strong, and they have been in this game for a really long time with their ultra premium panel technology. I mean, this panel arguably could have been number 1 on today's list if it weren't for that ultra premium price point. But you do get a lot of horsepower from this panel when we start to look at the specs. Keep in mind, this particular model does have a white backsheet. This is our only panel today that's not featuring those black on black aesthetics. So if appearance is a priority for you, this is important to consider. However, they do have a black on black option with slightly lower performance metrics. This panel's information can be found in that Google spreadsheet. For this Maxeon 6, the power output spans 425 to 440 watts with a very high power density per watt for its overall size. In fact, outside of that temperature coefficient, all of their metrics are going to be the best that we have seen today, so far that is. Panel efficiency is up to 22.8%, and the Maxeon lineup has that industry-leading 40-year warranty. No other manufacturer offers a warranty that is currently above 30 years here in the US, so a 40-year warranty certainly separates them from the pack. With a degradation rate of 0.25% per year, that means its 40-year performance warranty guarantees nearly an 89% power output in 4 decades, which is simply insane. In addition to that 40-year product and performance warranty, you're also getting a 40-year labor warranty when installed by a Maxeon partner. Another thing to comment on, while Maxeon has never had any American manufacturing, they are reported to be opening a 3 gigawatt plant in New Mexico later in 2025 that is expected to produce millions of panels per year. Final verdict, fantastic panel, fantastic technology, all coming from an elite manufacturer. I think some might be a little nervous of them given their association with SunPower and what had happened. But if you're looking for something that is statistically amongst the best of the best when it comes to solar modules, they are going to be in that conversation, but you're going to have to pay for it. Coming in at second on our list will be another panel from Qcells, which is their Qtron Black MG2 Plus series. And this Qtron panel is a little newer to the Qcells lineup, and it's their option that falls directly into that premium category when we look into all the specs. Every single metric, including price point, is going to see an increase when compared to that QPeak Duo panel that we discussed earlier in the video. The Qtron's power output ranges from 415 watts to 440 watts. Power density is right near the top of what we see in the industry today at just under 21 watts per square foot. Efficiency is also super impressive, clearing that 22% line, so you're really getting an elite solar panel here when it comes to maximizing your available roof space. Both warranties are at 25 years, which is pretty standard with a guarantee of nearly 91% after that 25th year, based on that annual degradation rate of 0.33%. And since Qcells has that large market share today, I do think this panel will slowly replace that QPeak module in the coming years, especially if that cost gap continues to shrink. Final verdict, this is probably the best residential solar panel manufactured here in the US as of today. And I know I've already told you about how much I love the Qcells brand just based on my personal experience. For you, if the standard Qcells panel isn't quite what you're looking for and you're comfortable spending a little bit more for these performance gains for this Qtron panel, then this is probably a great option for you. Now, if you know solar manufacturers, you know there's one company that we haven't mentioned yet. And this takes us to number one, where we'll wrap up our list with the REC Alpha Pure 2. Now, REC has been around since 1996 and is known for their industry-leading quality and panel performance. I know we had mentioned panel failures are extremely uncommon, but REC does brag about an extremely low claims rate of just 1 in 10,000 panels manufactured. However, if you are looking for an American manufactured panel, you're out of luck because it doesn't seem like REC has the intent of moving manufacturing here to the US, but I wouldn't let that trick you into thinking that this isn't an elite product. I know we haven't talked much about the nerd speak when it comes to solar cell technology today, as each manufacturer will have their own little spin on it, but REC does use a heterojunction or HJT technology that is not used by many manufacturers today. Panasonic was previously on the forefront of this heterojunction technology, but REC has now taken over and they actually manufacture Panasonic's panels. Panasonic used to be a titan in the solar panel industry, but they no longer manufacture their own panels. And because of this, you will find that the REC Alpha Pure 2 is a statistically identical panel to Panasonic's Evervolt. In fact, REC has an even higher wattage panel than their Pure 2 called their Pure RX. This panel also has very similar performance metrics to the Pure 2. The only reason these two panels didn't make the cut today is because they are currently far less popular than the Alpha Pure 2 and offer nearly identical specs, so I felt it was a little redundant. And even though they aren't in today's video, you can find the metrics for both Panasonic's Evervolt and the Alpha Pure RX panel in the Google spreadsheet below. Anyway, going back to REC cell technology, the short version of this heterojunction tech and what this means is the way their cells are designed is what gives them their edge with generating more power and having a greater overall energy yield. The Alpha Pure 2 has an impressive efficiency metric at 22.2%, but what really stands out today statistically is that temperature coefficient at just minus 0.24%, which is the best we have seen today by a decent margin. When these panels are installed by a ProTrust installer, the Alpha Pure 2 has a 25-year warranty on the product, the performance, and the labor, which isn't very common to see and definitely a perk that a lot of consumers are looking for. Their performance guarantee sits at 92% at the end of the 25th year with that 0.25% annual degradation, which is on par with Maxeon, but it does come with a shorter warranty. However, any panel with a degradation rate of just 0.25% per year, I think if that panel makes it 25 years with no problems, it's going to serve you a lot of value for years and years after that. And that goes for most of the solar panels that we see on the market today. Most of the very, very few panels that do fail, I'd expect to see performance issues either at install or shortly after install. Final verdict here, within the residential solar industry, it's pretty much universally agreed upon that the REC Alpha lineup is currently king of the hill. And as we wrap up today, you can see there are a lot of different options and it can be overwhelming. But hopefully you can also see the margin of difference on certain metrics isn't quite as large as it may seem. A better panel may not actually mean better for you, and some may disagree, but there's dozens of panels out there that you can select from today. And if it's offered at a fair price point, you're going to be completely fine. And like I said in the beginning, the quality of inverter, battery, and installer that you select are all just as important, if not even more important than the panel you select. Now, if you want to see which battery is the best option in the solar industry today, you should check out the video here on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.